Good morning, good life, everybody. This is a video that has been much anticipated. It is time to talk about, now that it is a new year, new notebooks. You know how we do. This is my bullet journal process. I have two feelings about this video right now. One is excitement and one is like, do I really have to do this? I made a great video in 2017. I was just rewatching it and I was like, this covers a lot. So if you're interested in a very specific walkthrough of how I plan my month, you might want to skip this video and just pop over to that and watch how I do it. In this particular video, I'm still excited because I feel like I'm having a renewed motivation, that's the word, motivation for bullet journaling, because 2018 I kind of fell off, but as you'll see in that older video, 2017, my bullet journal was on point. I love the concept of the bullet journal because you can have off years and you can have on years, and I still love that I have all of these things documented in my BUJOs. So anyway, 2019, things are looking up again. I got a brand new bullet journal, shared it with you guys in a recent video. Bullet journal was kind enough to send it to me, so pretty pumped about that. And it's a different color than the previous years, which was good. We got black. My previous years, I have had teal, I have had pink. So I feel like we've covered all of my colors at this point. Might have to expand in 2020. It's gonna be interesting. So I just figured I'm gonna do a walkthrough now that I've kind of prepped it for 2019. We are in January, so there's not a whole lot in it, but there is January stuff in it. I'm gonna have to blur out a lot of things because there's information that's either private because it's business related and I can't tell you, or it's private because it's personal and maybe there's like something in there that people don't know. No, this is not a pregnancy announcement. Good Lord, I walked right into that one. It's kind of hard to actually share a completed bullet journal, but I'm gonna give it a try. Before we get into my journal, I wanna give my Twitter shout out of the day, and this goes to TD Jones, at TD Jones 5. Thank you so much for retweeting my last video when it came out. I appreciate your support, your tweets, your love, your comments, every single time. And so if you would like a chance to be the next Twitter shout out, then make sure that you follow me on Twitter and retweet my video when it comes out, like this one. If you're watching this when it's brand new or just a day old or so, then maybe think about retweeting it for a chance to have your name up here and for me to say it, because I like to give love where love is supposed to be given, and you deserve that love. All right, so first thing I'd like to point out is this is the Likestrom 1719, is that what it's called? The Likstrom's 1917. Already messing up. This is the official Likestrom 1917, but it's also the official bullet journal. So that's a notebook you can actually get on Amazon that's not BUJO branding, but I actually prefer the BUJO branding if you can do it, because it's nice to have the guide. The key is really useful if you are brand new to bullet journaling, or if you are not brand new and you just forget. I do recommend this, this official bullet journal version. So I will link to that, but I will also link to the actual journal itself if you want a plain journal to start with. It's completely up to you. It is available on Amazon. The other thing to consider is if you don't have a bullet journal, you can make a bullet journal out of any journal. If I had not given up alcohol for at least January of 2019, we could have done like a mimosa drinking game for the word journal in this video, because I have a feeling it's going to be a lot said, a lot. Pretty much any notebook that you take and whether you like lines or dots or graphs, I don't know, like what are those things called? Grids, not graphs. If you prefer a certain type of journal and you're like, I wish I could turn this into a bullet journal, you can. There are just some basic things to start and throughout the actual pages that make it a bullet journal. Throughout are page numbers. You just need to go through and manually page number it. And then the things that we have at the start are gonna help you to actually be able to make it a bullet journal out of anything you want. So keep that in mind and just pay attention to what those pages are. One thing to note about this notebook for me in particular in my process is that it is not the end all be all for me, but I do feel that I remember things better when I write them down. So when you think about things I need to remember and where I should put them, I'm more likely to put them in my bullet journal than I am to put them in some sort of digital form of note keeping or project management. So the first thing you're gonna look at is the index. And so everything here is pretty self-explanatory. It's every single thing in your bullet journal, ideally in the sections or in the collections that you make. I'm not gonna get super technical about bullet journal terms. If you wanna know what specific things are called, other than what I've blatantly decided to talk about today, I would definitely go watch the free resources, especially on YouTube, that Bullet Journal has made to tell you about their process and how it works. I don't know if I've nailed what collections technically are, and I'm still learning things about how to use the event signifier and things like that. I just want to show you sort of the basics of what I'm keeping track of so that you can understand how this notebook plays a role in my productive life. So this index is going to have a documentation of all of those major sections and what is in them and what page I can find them on. This all by itself, game changer for me. To be able to say like, oh, I know I was keeping track of something and go to that page number and see, oh, there it is. I love the index is just a game changer. It's so much better than, oh, I wrote this on loose leaf and then I wrote this in a journal over here and then I put this on a legal pad and then I put this online. And it's so nice to know that I can pretty much find everything that I'm looking for in this index list so that I'm not furiously thinking, did I even write it in this notebook? That's an annoying feeling to me. And that alone is a great way to start as counterproductive as possible, because the mindset of, I don't even know if I put it in here, will make me probably not find it. So the kickoff for my journal and all bullet journals is the future log. And so this is an interesting space where you may or may not know how to use it. When you first start, I had no idea. My future log was pretty blank for most of the first 2 years of me using bullet journal. Your future log should start with February, because you're gonna wanna split these pages up into six sections across 2 pages, and then there's gonna be a total of 4 pages. That last section is gonna be January of 2020. So you wanna make sure that you're putting things in there that will go into your next bullet journal. So pretty much anything that has either already gotten demoted from January and pushed to the future because it has to happen, but it's not happening yet, is in the future log. Woo! I feel like there's a way better description of a future log someplace else. Like, still trying to figure that one out. The next section of my bullet journal is how I like to start every bullet journal, and that's with what I see for myself in that year. So what I have here is basically a spread of my goals and resolutions. I wrote resolutions because I don't have a better name for it, even though I technically only have one resolution for this year. But there were some other things, as I told you before, that I'm thinking about that I would like to start, stop, and continue in this year. Just little reminders here to do that. My goals are none of your business, so sorry, they're blocked out. But you can get the idea. List your goals here, and I don't have very many, and some of them are lofty, and some of them I think I really have a good chance of hitting. And so I like to have a little blend of both here because it really keeps me motivated. On the resolution side, I have my word of the year, which you guys may have already heard, is poise. And then the one resolution that I have, as well as some things that I called other betterment, because I didn't want them to be law, and I just wanted them to be things that I'm thinking about habitually if I can start to integrate them. My next spread here is my monthly stats tracker. This will probably be more interesting for somebody who is a creator or a potential creator. And what you can see here is I kind of created my own grid of what I like to track on a monthly basis to make sure that I am moving forward with my content. The things that are happening here on YouTube, on my podcast, and on other social media for me are extremely important to my business. So making sure that certain metrics, not all, definitely not all, and even some of these metrics don't actually matter from a decision-making standpoint, but they are important to track that they are going upward and onward, not necessarily dying for some reason, if they are actually important to me and a part of my daily, weekly, monthly strategies. So just to show you what my shorthand means here, if you can't tell, I have I have a row for each month, and in each of the columns it says YouTube subscribers, so I'm just making sure that that number continues to go up. You can make that happen for me in January by making sure you press the subscribe button. Maybe the notification bell too. Next, we have YouTube views. After that, it is the YouTube average number of views in the first 24 hours. And then there's YouTube watch time, which is an important metric overall. Views are not the end all be all on YouTube. If you have people watching considerable minutes of time on your channel, that's good for the health of it as well. The next few columns are other content that I care about. So that includes podcast downloads, how well are the podcasts doing on a monthly basis, and also podcast downloads on average, how they did in the first 24 24 hours. Instagram followers, Instagram stories. I like to track my average Instagram stories viewing just to make sure I know how many impressions I'm getting there, and Twitter followers. So now we get into January, and so I have a really basic 1st January page here. The first thing that I do is list out all of the numbers, the dates of the month, as well as the corresponding day. And this documentation I am taking a little differently than I have in the past. What I've done in the past is use this basically to rewrite my calendar, which felt really stupid. And I was like, I don't know why this is what this page is for. I have a digital calendar. I don't need to write down, when my hair needs to get done, even though I did write that here in January, more because I'm looking forward to it. But what I am using it for instead now is to start documenting things that I would want to remember about that day. So kind of as like a one-line journal, which it's a bullet journal. So shouldn't we be doing that? Probably. Definitely want to remember the day that we hit 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that's on there too. So really using this as a journal. The second part of this spread is just general tasks. So what I use this list for is something big kind of that needs to be remembered about the month, something that might take a little bit more time. I'm going to write that in this tasks list. So I'm always looking at it when I'm on this page. How have we moved on this? And then I'll think of smaller bite-sized tasks that I can write on these next pages, which I'll show you, that will help me get that one big one done. This is also where I will probably come and write down things that were in the future log for this month so that I can remember, oh yeah, I tasked myself with this for this month because it didn't work out last month. So I will put that on this page. This page does not fill up very often because it's kind of what I feel like is my starting point before the month has started to think about what I need to get done in this month. So that's pretty much what I use this task page for. So the next few pages, and I usually pre-design only 3 spreads, so 6 pages total for just individual daily tasks. I have a stamp that I got from Amazon, which I really like because I'm sick of looking at my handwriting at this point usually, and I will date the section for the day, and then I will start to fill things in as we go. A lot of this is going to be blocked out. You're not going to see a lot of it because I can't share a lot of what I wrote. I'm using the typical key for bullet journal to write down tasks. So you have your dots for your tasks, you have your circle for events, and you have your hash mark for the notes. I really like using this note thing because I'll often find that I have an idea and I want to write it down and I don't have a space for it, but I can write it on that sort of daily list. And it's also nice to know when I have certain ideas or when certain things come to me to be able to go back and say like, oh, why did that happen? Oh man, all this stuff was going on when I had that idea. So the next couple of things that I have here are internal notes that I can't share with you, but basically I'm trying to keep, meeting notes in this journal as well, because it's a lot nicer for me to write it down and be able to remember it, because I want to remember things that my team says, or I want to remember things that we're planning on doing as a company for the year. And if I just type it out, I feel like the same connection doesn't get made. So that's just a spread of notes that were happening at a certain meeting. The next spread, another thing creators might find interesting, is my editorial tracking. So the same idea of what I had for the yearly tracker, this is the monthly, so it's on a micro scale. So you wouldn't have seen individual video results or individual podcast results on the yearly tracker, but this is the monthly tracker. So what I'm doing is I'm writing the date and the name of the videos that I've created, and those things that I'm averaging or keeping track of on the yearly scale, I'm writing them here. So the 24-hour views for these videos that I've made throughout the month, or the 24-hour downloads of these podcasts that I published. And then I'm also keeping track of the 30-day views for each of those publications. So whether they're videos or podcasts, just to see how does something do over a month versus the first couple of days. That's super interesting. I definitely recommend, when you're a creator, your metrics matter a lot. So for me to have these spaces to be able to look at them at a glance and write them in, that helps me feel a lot more purpose in my content, but it also makes me feel like I am engaged in what is happening with it, what works and what doesn't, what to do more of, what to stay away from. My next spread here is just more notes. This is actually guest notes that I was making throughout the process of reviewing the podcast that I am publishing. If you're familiar with the podcast, I do a detailed recap, or I give a bio at the beginning, or I give you a teaser at the beginning. For me to know and remember what great moments happened in the interview, I have to listen to it back, I have to edit it a little bit, and I have to write down the things I want to say in my intro and outro. So that's what I'm using this space for. This one's a little interesting. If you are getting serious about fitness or your body, you might want to try something like this. I'm probably not going to share my metrics with you. However, But I'm basically tracking my body weight and sort of like my body measurements as I'm continuing to do a workout plan with my trainer. It's a reminder in my journal, which I could have just made all work related, that I'm trying to put more things in my life in here. And it's good to have that reminder of, did you eat right today? Did you drink more water? Did you go to the gym like you said you were going to? It's nice to have that in here. The next one is gonna sound really silly, but I wanted to put something about Lucy in here. Lucy is my dog. Lucy is turning 15 this year, and Lucy doesn't get as much exercise as she used to. When she goes to my mom's house, she gets a ton of exercise because there's a lot of land for her to walk around on. Not that she needs a lot of it because she can't see it, but it's still like a lot better than apartment life here. But she's also very much used to apartment life, and she's actually really, really good at apartment life. So good, she'll poop on a sidewalk anytime she feels like. But I do try to get more intentional about making sure she does get that exercise. The more water she drinks, the better she eats, the more exercise she gets, she's more likely to live longer with me. So I created this really, really silly grid that I thought would be fun to fill out of all the times that Lucy goes on walks, because it means Amy got walked too. And Amy needs her steps. Okay, so this next spread is just a couple of things I needed to kind of get out of my head. The first one is a fun tracker. I think you should try this one if you like it. It's called When Did I Last? So I basically put a few sections to fill things in here and then lines next to them that are intended to be for dates. So when was the last time I took Lucy to the groomer? When was the last time I called the cleaners? When was the last time I had Lucy's glands expressed? That's a process we don't have to talk about here because nobody has the stomach for that. These are things I need to keep track of that I'm not always like going back in my calendar and trying to find, because sometimes if I put something in my calendar like Lucy's got to go to the vet, I don't put exactly what happened at the vet that day, and that should probably be something that I do, but I don't. And so I created this list of like, okay, Lucy's going to the groomer actually today, and she's getting her glands expressed. And I want to track that because if for some reason Lucy needs to go back to get her glands expressed too soon, there might be something wrong with her, and so we need to go back to the vet. When was the last time she went to the vet? I should probably add that one on here too. God, I love how Lucy farted at that exact moment. Lucy, we're going in 5 minutes, okay? Just jeez. The other side was things I wanted to write down of things I needed to batch, because I was starting to batch out 2019 and I just wanted to make sure that I didn't forget certain things. So that's pretty much all I have in my bullet journal. The only thing that's really, really missing from this right now is my content ideas section. And so this is where I start to come up with ideas for videos and podcasts that I want to share with you. But I figured you guys would understand what that list looks like, and I'm not going to add it yet because it's just another thing I would blur out because it's always a surprise. I like to surprise you. I'd be curious to see if you are interested in a consistent bullet journal update over the months, if you want to see me continue to do this whole how do I plan my month thing as I go throughout 2019, because as we keep going, it will continue to evolve, and I would love to share that with you. Let me know in the comments below. Oh, look at this straight hair that's just been hanging out all day. Hello. Do you have a bullet journal? Are you interested in this kind of thing? Are you using a different note-taking technique? I would love to hear what you're doing to get more productive in your daily life throughout this new year in the comments below as well. So make sure you share that with me before you go. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Make sure you subscribe for good vibes. Kiss the ones you love. And remember, go after the life that you want. Cheers.